those despicable, disgusting ladies on The View. How dare them push back against school choice and against allowing parents to have a choice of where their children go when they themselves send their kids to private school. I'm really willing to bet their children haven't touched foot in a public school, but yet and still
But media leftists still say schools don't have enough money.
They're underfunded. If we want our public schools to get better, you can't take money out of the system.
That's just ignorant. No one's taken money out of the system. Funding keeps rising.
The government schools in the United States now spend around $20,000 per student per year. That's about 60% higher than average private school tuition.
$20,000 per child. Where does that money go? A class of 20, that would be $400,000. How can they not do great work with that? You should be able to hire 6 great teachers for one classroom.
It goes to administrative bloat and staffing surges.
I see that looking through school district directories. Student enrollment's basically flat, but the number of administrators increased by 95%.
Places that have stronger teachers unions.
Wow. Michelle, that's what I was talking about. The amount of money put into these public schools, these government schools, and how it's inefficiently run it's shameful. It's shameful.
American teachers said,
competition is not for children. It's not for human beings. It's not for public education.
I confronted union boss Randy Weingarten about how hard it is to fire even a very bad teacher. She smugly replied,
we'll police our own profession.
And, frankly, I believe this is the civil rights issue of our generation. Before you get in here, Michelle, I do want to acknowledge our super chatter here. Folks, thank you all so much. We got JT Thompson with the $10 super chat. Says, I know people want to be supportive of teachers, but in the main, they seem a pretty arrogant and entitled group. Many of them truly believe they know better than anyone else. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Michelle?
Well, he's absolutely right. And when I was thinking of administrators, I was thinking of Baltimore.
Right.
Where you get these CEOs, essentially, of the education system whose salary is multiple 6 figures. We're talking 200,000, 300,000 to do nothing, essentially nothing, when you have zero. You have schools with 0% efficiency in proficiency, in reading. Zero. Nobody can read at grade level. Now, they might be able to read maybe at a 3rd grade level, but that's not what you should be graduating students with. You've had them their whole lives almost. And then we have down here where they'll put a nice new gymnasium. So great. They can play better basketball while they're not doing math. I don't know how much dodgeball is going to help them in their lives when they can't read or write. So it's fluff. I wish we could have freeze framed on that list of the administrators that they put in. I would be satisfied if we were hiring more teachers' aides, because these public schools are overcrowded. So if they said, it went to more teachers' aides, okay, so be it. We have a lot of kids with problems in certain areas, but it's outrageous. And again, it's a failed experiment. It's been failing for decades. This is not new. And I'm not mad that they're being quiet about it, KJ. Because what I know of this administration, of the Trump administration, they get things done. And the less protests, maybe the better for us. Maybe more states and governors can actually do the work that needs to be done to kind of dismantle this epic failure. And then we'll have the big, beautiful bill to back it up while they take it apart and rebuild. And while students, hopefully in the meantime, can succeed. I'm praying for parents and I'm praying for our nation, because this is going to be a long road when we have so many millions that are essentially uneducated, having gone to school their whole lives.
Exactly. Oh, and they're the worst ones. They make me sick. These, and I'm sorry to say, it's mostly these women who have all these degrees, these PhD and master's degree, and they're all just so intelligent when they really know nothing. They really know nothing. And that takes me back to those ladies, those despicable, disgusting ladies on The View. How dare them push back against school choice and against allowing parents to have a choice of where their children go when they themselves send their kids to private schools. I'm really willing to bet their children haven't touched foot in a public school, but yet and still they're always advocating for these socialist schools every time we turn around. School choice produces better results at a lower cost. We look at charter, private, and faith-based schools. They generally educate children for less money per student than public schools. And as you mentioned, as we're seeing that, the funding has increased in these public schools, but the outcomes haven't.
Now, the union does allow a school to fire a bad teacher. She says you just have to follow the steps. But look at these. It's unbelievably complicated and long. And this is just the first page. I have to stand up to show the whole thing. This is what a principal would have to go through to fire a bad teacher.
So I don't understand how they can sit there and move their mouths to advocate for public schools when they're failing across the country.
Well, I can understand why, and let's just make it plain, because they like segregation. They love it. They want to be segregated because otherwise we'd all be able to get into their neighborhoods. Otherwise, we'd all be able to go out and have dinner where they're having dinner and talk to staff the way they talk to staff and get what they want when they want it, the way that they like it. See, we'd all get away with having Whoopi's nasty attitude or Joy's nasty behavior. They'd like segregation, and segregation makes sure that their bills get paid, because they can have something to argue about. All those poor people here. It's because of Black people. It's because of racism. It's because of all of this. They like the segregation, and they don't mind that kids are failing because that's what they get to talk about on their show. Success would mean they would be canceled.
Right.
Success of our students means they are obsolete because the kids could read, write, research for themselves, and see that these ladies have been lying for a very long time. But they can't have that, and the left can't have that.
Yeah. But let me ask you this, because sometimes I talk to family and friends, and they're not getting behind school choice. They are believing this narrative that is predominantly pushed on the left, that school choice will take away public schools. Why don't they get it?
Yeah, because we haven't broken it down in its simplest form, and that's the capitalism. But remember, we're pushing socialism right now, so they haven't broken it down to what competition does. If you told the same people, well, what if you were forced to have McDonald's every single day because that's the only hamburger that I would give you? Unless you go over to the city across the street where you can get, or down a couple miles away, you can get Burger King, you can get everything. But I'm going to make you sit here at this McDonald's, and that's the only thing you're allowed to have. Why? Because that's where you're zoned for. Because that's the only neighborhood we're going to allow you to eat at, right? It's just like we have to find a way to simplify this so that they realize that's a form of consumption. Yes, and it's food, and I'm just doing something silly, guys.
No, that's a very good analogy.
But you're consuming that. So when our students are consuming failing education, where they're getting the same bad teachers, the same bad staff, the same bad facility, and just down the street is a different zip code where they can get something better, why are we forcing people to stay here when they can go over there? It's asinine. It's outrageous. And it shouldn't ever matter. And it doesn't for us. It doesn't. We know it doesn't matter the color of the child or their economic level, but it does. That's how the system's been played. So you should be able to drive your kid or get a bus or get tuition to go to anything, anywhere, any school. It's about the child. And that's what I also tell families. Should we be focusing on what the teachers are getting paid and what the school is doing, or should you be focusing on your kids getting the best education? Why can't it be about the kids? And I ask people that, well, why can't it be about the kids? Why can't we focus this whole conversation about, can this child learn here? Maybe they just need a Montessori style. Did you ever think of that? Those kids that are like jumping around all over the walls, they just need to jump and play and sing while they learn, and they'd be just fine. So make it about the children and make it about keeping things simple. We have to do that as just common sense conservatives or Republicans or independents. Make it about the children.
Yep, you're right. You're right. And, from a biblical perspective, we know that a lot of times in many of these public schools, they are pushing indoctrination.
Mhm.
They are pushing, worldly indoctrination that, people of faith, particularly Christians, don't agree with.
Yeah.
So, what one thing these school choice allows is if you find that they're doing this, you can pull your kid out. They don't want that. They want a captive audience. They want to be able to push their philosophy and their deceptive ideology on our kids. And so this is why they are so against school choice. But the Bible talks about in Romans 12:12, do not be conformed to the world. Actually, I think it's Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And the buck should stop with parents. We should be able to rear what we want our children to know. And these schools have gone way beyond that. Are reading, writing, math, they've gone beyond that, and they've trying to push this gender ideology and all this crap on them. So that's another reason why they don't want the school choice. They don't want parents to have choice.
No, they don't. And once they tied that to the No Child Left Behind Act years ago, it was a done deal under Bush. And I fought with that even when I was in college. And I said, once you start tying money to tests, it's game over. And we have seen that happen. So now we have great big unions in charge. We have tests that are taking over, and they're so focused on that and not kids. It is a crap show. It's one that needs to be shut down so that we can catch up. We're so far behind. We're not ahead of anybody anymore. We need to catch up. There are third world countries, what we consider third world, that are far ahead of us. Their children speak multiple languages. I mean, they could use an abacus still, and our kids don't even know what an abacus is. So let's just be honest. They're ahead of us. That's not going to bode well for us in the next 50 years.
Right? You are absolutely right. Oh, wow, folks, we got Shelly E is in the chat. Oh my gosh, what did we do to be honored with her presence? Thank you so much, Shelly E. She says here, sorry, I'm late and catching up per JLP. Racism, his point is accurate. If there is only one race and there is, then it's not really racism, because that would mean humans hating themselves. Wow. See, now that is a good point. I didn't think of that. That's an excellent point. Thank you so much, Shelly E. All right. So, we'll continue to watch this, but folks, again, it goes back to that big, beautiful bill. This is the kind of bold reform we need more of. With the signing of the One Big Beautiful Act, or also called One Big Beautiful Bill, families from every background are finally being put in charge of their children's education. And this is something particularly parents of faith, families of faith need, because we've seen the left, Marxism, and gender ideology has really taken hold in many of these government schools. So what started as a bold promise has now become federal law. And this is something that hasn't really been talked about much in the Big Beautiful Bill, that, it's going to be transformative education policy. Actually, they're saying since this desegregation.
Oh, these teachers unions owe us an apology. They owe 2 generations of children a full-blown apology, and they should owe us our money back. Those unions should be bankrupt. Right. Their money should go into the school systems. The money they've collected from their union dues, that should go to help children actually learn to read. Because right now it's at less than 30% for some of our cities. 30% reading level. You've got to be kidding me, which is why I have homeschooled my children for over a decade and have helped others, because there's no school choice here in Maryland. No. And he was right. School choice competition is important. What they've run is a failed social experiment for decades. It was their own, and now that we're seeing all of these communists coming out and socialists, it was their own socialist experiment to see if they could force everybody to learn the same way. And praise God for the states that were holdouts. Praise God for those few communities that said, no, we're going to offer school choice here. We desperately need it.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Shame
yeah.
them.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And so this is why this bill is revolutionary. This big, beautiful bill, because they've included a revised version of the Educational Choice for Children Act. That's the ECCA. Hasn't gotten as much attention as it should. And so this offers a tax credit scholarship for families making under 300% of the local median income, benefiting, of course, working and middle class Americans. And then so this scholarship can be used for private school tuition, tutoring, special needs services, which special needs children really took a back seat during this whole COVID scamdemic. That was pushed by these leftists. It also can go towards tech, transportation, and more. There's no sunset clause, no cap on annual contributions, and it starts in 2027. This is huge because, look, folks, what we've seen with school choice, particularly in Florida, and we know S-Files is right there in Florida. I see you down there, S-Files. They have become, I believe it's number one in education. Yes. And they lead the nation in school choice. So U.S. News and World Report, I think that it says here they're number 2 for overall K through 12 education. They remain a top contender nationally now for several years. And this is huge because they used to be at the bottom and they have come all the way to the top. And a big part of it is school choice.